Hi, I feel like I'm really, really late to the party doing this video, and but it's not like I did it and then now I'm uploading it. I just didn't do it because I have been so busy with other things. But I want to talk about what the F did, who the F did I marry? I so I had been I'm one of those people who actually watched the whole thing in a day. What I did was I started watching it in the evening. I didn't really know that I could speed up a TikTok so that it goes at twice the speed. If I would have known that, I would have finished it that night. But I watched, I think, the first 10. No, I watched the first episode, and I was like, "There's no way I'm watching 50 episodes." And then at the end of it, I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll just watch the second one, and then the third one." By the time I was reaching 10, I was like, "I am not going to sleep until I finish watching this thing." And then I fell asleep. So I couldn't remember if I had fallen asleep on 10 or 11. So the next day, in my infinite wisdom, I decided to start from 1 again. And then I started from 1. And then when I was like, I think like at 20, that's when I think somebody told me that you can forward it, you can make it go at twice the speed. So I started watching it at twice the speed. And then, so I could have actually watched this thing in 4 hours instead of the 8 hours it took me to watch it. But well, you live to learn. So, who the F did she marry? So, I was listening to that thing and I was thinking, wow, okay, I loved it. Not that she went through all that, of course, that's not good, but I loved how she narrated the story. She made the story so engaging. I think that is what made me actually sit down the entire time. So many people who claim to have ADHD were able to actually sit through this whole thing. So I think sometimes maybe we self-diagnose too fast. And then the other thing is, it feels like she broke everything we are told about social media. We are told, make your content short and precise and stuff like that. Don't make it go too long. Don't do what people were watching this 8-hour thing. I mean, I don't even watch series. And by the way, I'm that type of person. When I'm reading a novel, I will go to the last page to know how it's ending before I come to the first page. This one, I was watching step by step. When I watched it the second time, I was actually going like, she has this thing where she tells you, remember that part because we'll get back to it. Remember that part because we'll get. Do you know the last episode? I was like, I had all these page markers she had given us because honestly, this woman is good. She is really, really good at storytelling. So my take on it was the fact that, number one, she wanted to go to France. Air France just didn't come up early enough to give her the flight. She wanted to go to Paris. British Air did not show up. But anyway, Delta gave her flight. Many people offered to buy her ticket anyway. So she had all these offers. And while we are all running to go and see that BMW 5 Series that she wanted, the BMW people are just quiet. Well, at least now they've behaved, so we are happy now. But I think I learned so much about this woman. I learned that yes, not everybody sits and just wallows in the pain that they're in. Some people actually get out there and can make something out of it. Number two, it takes time to heal, and once you've healed, then you're able to speak up about some things. So all this happened during the pandemic, 2000 until 2020 until 2021, and she was talking about it now in 2024. So she had 2022, 2023 to gather herself, to recover, and then for her to talk about it. And I feel like that is how you've healed. As somebody who's been in relationships, which I'm like, how was I ever in that relationship, and why did I stay that long, and what kind of a relationship was this? Sometimes you even wonder, was I really in a relationship, or was I imagining the relationship? Or sometimes you're in something. a relationship, situationship, whatever. You're in something, but and when it ends, you're quick to anger and you're quick to react. I think I learned from this woman that sometimes give it time for you to calm down, because she was also very aware of just how she looks and how she sounds, which means she has talked to a few people about this. She was like, she kept saying things like, oh, this is gonna make me look bad, but this is how it was. This is gonna make me look down, but this is how it was. This is, and I know many people, and she had to keep reminding us. People remember we were in 2020. Many people can tend to forget just how 2020 was. 2020 is that time when we woke up one day and there were no planes in the sky, there were no cars in the road, there were like weird animals that had never been to cities were like, oh, finally we can get out. People tend to forget this part of 2020. People are remembering the 2020 after the summer, when people were demonstrating and having whatevers and barbecues and things like that. People are not remembering the February, March, April, May part, where it was, we were convinced that if you walk outside for 5 minutes, you're gonna die. People, people tend to forget that, and just how fast things changed. I know, for example, like contactless payment was not a thing in Switzerland, but now it's the thing. Digital money was not a thing, but now it is a thing. There is so much that changed, even just in the banking system. Switzerland was pretty much still a very cash-friendly society, and then 2020 came, and all of a sudden there were so many stores in Switzerland where they actually did not even accept cards, like no credit cards, no debit cards, nothing. They were not accepting any cards. And then all of a sudden 2020 happened, and then they started accepting cards. So there are things that this woman is saying that, you listen to Tisai sometimes and you're like, but why would you believe that? It just doesn't even sound right. But you know what? Nothing sounded real in 2020. Everything sounded fake. Everything sounded like it was the first time for everything. First of all, she had never even bought a house. So whatever it is that the guy was telling her could probably have been the norm. But then it could also have been just a new way of working through what COVID brought up, So there are all these things that I learned. And I loved her storytelling, to be honest. I really did. I felt like she told that story in a way that invited us to believe her, and we continued believing her, and we loved believing her. And I don't know. Anyway, if you haven't watched it, or you're too lazy to watch it, there are quite a lot of people who've done summaries of it. I'm not one of them. I'm not going to link it in the bio because I honestly don't feel like I want to go through looking for that for you. But yeah, it was lovely. It was a nice, lovely thing to watch. Okay, people, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.